Hassan Haskins and the defense saves the day. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining us. My name's Desmond. I'm here with my co-host, Dre. We are the Michigan Football at the Voice of College Football channel. Please like and subscribe. Also share the video on social media as well. Definitely an interesting victory. I mean, at the end of the day, Michigan got it done. They end up winning the game 21-17 on the road in Happy Valley. I'll just throw it off to you, Dre. Like, what are your thoughts on it? I mean, we both predicted a Michigan win. It was a pick'em game. I don't know what it ended up being as far as who was favored towards the end, but nonetheless, go ahead.
Fantastic win.
He just like in tears right now, like just
this is the
quintessential game that Jim Harbaugh would typically lose, like based on his track record.
But you can see how huge this game was. I mean, you can look at like the scenes on the sideline and on the field after guys hugging each other on the Michigan sideline. The players, you can see in Harbaugh's face. They realized how important this was, not only for the ramifications of this season, but helping getting that monkey off their back, right? Typically, and by all means, the script was playing out sadly like it normally does. Michigan gets off to a solid start, well, besides the first quarter, but Michigan seems to be, for the most part, the better team throughout the day. But they're not able to quite put a team away for whatever reason. Some self-inflicted mistakes and etc. And it looks like, okay, now Penn State is hanging around. All of a sudden, here they come. They go on a drive. They score. It's like, okay, they still didn't get a 2-point conversion. And somehow Michigan just cannot keep teams getting 2-point conversions. They convert a 2-point conversion. Now we're tied 14-14, middle of the fourth quarter. And Michigan proceeds to get the ball back. So you're already on your heels. You feel like, here we go again.
You were not happy at that point because you text me. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of this.
I'm sick of this. You know what? And Michigan proceeds to get the ball, and what do you know? Left tackle gets destroyed on third down. My gosh. Gets strip sacks. Not really his fault. You really can't see that, but still, it happens. It's a collective team game. You get strip sacked at your own 20. Penn State takes over, gets a field goal. Michigan defense does a really good job not folding, keeping Penn State out the end zone. Penn State kicks a field goal, but now they score 10 points. What was it? No, not 11 points or whatever it was. 11 points in a matter of a few minutes, and now you're down. And Michigan proceeds, where I thought that was the straw that broke the back. I really did. I thought that was it because it was playing out how it normally does, and they come up with a really good drive, and Eric All was able to break through because some of the Penn State defenders collided on those crossing routes. He caught the ball and took off. And
when you play man coverage, that's the perfect call for man coverage is crossing routes.
Yeah,
and that's
what you want. Because you want to create confusion. You want to create. That's hard as a defense because you got one defender chasing the other side, the other defender chasing the other side, and it's not like you have time to watch where your teammates are. You're too busy watching the offensive player you're tracking, and it was fantastic. Eric All takes it to the end zone. The defense goes out there, gets a huge stop, and man, it was just great to see. Man, this was one of those games where it's November. This is I think Jim Harbaugh 16-14 in this era in November. In Michigan, compared to being 41-9 September through October. So this has been the Achilles heel for this team during this time here, and it was a gritty, strong, mentally tough win. Road win against a ranked opponent, maybe not in the CFP, but in the AP top 25. And you can't take that away from these kids. They fought, and they knew exactly what was on the line. They knew exactly what stigma was against them, and all the credit goes to them. But there were definitely some things that stuck out today, and that's things that you tweeted about, Desmond. No JJ today, and that's interesting. I mean, it's not like I'm upset to see that. We both wanted, like, hey man, either you give them drives or you dish this. You know, you can't be doing this, you know, breaking up momentum during drives, trying to throw them in there. We didn't see JJ didn't get one snap today, I don't believe.
Not from what I saw. No.
Hey man, this is winning time. You know, you go with your main guy, and it looks like that's what that coaching staff decided to do today.
For sure. I'm going to take a quick pause and ask everyone who's in this stream right now. We got almost 50 people to hit the thumbs up button for us, because it does help spread the impact of the video and everything. So please do that real quick. But I'm not sure what you can, you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, you're looking at a team who beat a team on the road. Penn State was ranked in the AP. Whatever. Say they weren't ranked in the AP.
And they're a good
Penn
program,
State's a good football team. It's not as if, you know, it's
they battled with Ohio State. I mean, they were
exactly.
at the horseshoe. I mean, they were in that game at Ohio State, man. I mean, they are a good program. We talked about it with James Franklin and with Penn State. They've done, even though there are a lot of similarities between the Penn State and Michigan program, between Franklin and Harbaugh, but at least they've broken through a couple, once, you know.
And it's so funny because I was thinking about it too as I thought about it as far as my fandom, you know, being an Alabama fan, is just with Penn State, you can look at it as a Michigan fan the same way you do as an Alabama fan with Auburn. Like, it doesn't matter what their record is. They're going to bring it every single time that they play you. And that's what Penn State did today. So to me, my thought was, I don't care if they're ranked in the college football playoff or not. This is a good win. This is a really good win, because the thing is had Michigan lost this game, what would we be saying? Like, and the fact that they won
think about that
lets me know that this is a big win. And we talked about it too early on in the season with Wisconsin and with Washington as well. I'm like, these are big wins. Like, I really don't care about what happened with those other teams, with Wisconsin and Washington and so on and so forth. At the time you played them, this is a big win. So I'm going to give Michigan all the credit in the world. If I'm Josh Gaddis, I'm taking Mike McDonald to the absolute best restaurant I can in the state of Michigan.
That man make $1 million a year.
Goodness gracious, you left that man out on he had to walk a plank on his own.
Gaddis got it. The Michigan coordinator paid a lot of money. Gaddis got getting paid with $1.2 million a year.
I tweeted it out earlier in the game, but just, I mean, especially early on, I mean, I think at one point it was 24 plays to 3. Yeah. Holy cow. That is a lot of stress to put on a defense early on in a game, because we're talking early in the first quarter, and you're talking about you got 25 plays in, so you're easily on pace to have 100 plays against your defense, and that is an absolute disaster. Once you get up there in 75, 80, 85 plays as far as the defense, your efficiency is just out the door. Like, guys are just gassed. Like, there's no team that has enough guys that can deal with those amount of snaps. Like, I don't care if you're 10 deep on the D line, that's way too many plays. So for McDonald, I think he did a phenomenal job. I thought Gaddis did well in spots. Like, that third down to all was huge. Thought that was a great play call against man coverage. But overall, I thought it could have been better. And let's kind of go back to the JJ thing, because that has been a big talking point, you know, all season, really. Like, with us, with other channels, like just overall with the Michigan fan base. What were your thoughts on JJ getting no snaps essentially today?
Well, it makes sense. You know, it makes sense of where you are. I mean, you are in the last quarter of the season. You have to have it. You don't need, and this is not the time to be cute, right? This is the time to win. And by this, we said it before, you know, this deep into your season, you should know who are your go-tos or who are not your go-tos, where your go-to packages, where your go-to plays that work. You can't afford to be making ill-timed, cute mistakes. And JJ, if he's patient, we'll see if he is, and we'll see what the staff does after this year. We'll get his time, but that time isn't now. And I thought they made the right decision, especially after the last couple of weeks. That you say, you know what, this is Cade's thing. We need to let Cade run this thing fully, and we just go from there, right? And I brought it up and I said, Cade had to be really efficient. I thought Cade over now Haskins was huge, but Cade was the one that made the touchdown passes. Got into the plays to get in the end zone more than not, and he was huge today. So, yeah, it's not enough good. I could say, Jabo and Hutchinson at one point had 5. They may have had more, but at least had 2 strips. Both had 2 strip sacks. One point, had 5 combined sacks, 2 by Hutchinson, 3 by Jabo, or vice versa. And they lived up to their billing today, man. It was a complete win. It wasn't a perfect win by all means. This team is skating on very, very thin ice, and also, even though this is a great win by Harbaugh and the staff, you're still keeping teams around and putting yourself in really big danger. And that's just, it's a bad habit, and it can burn you. And it has burnt this team. Now, will it didn't burn them today. It almost did. But hey, for the last 2 games coming up in the season, those are the things you just got to hope you get to minimize. And when you do get in the red zone, finish drives more, right? Not kicking field goals, getting touchdowns, watching your turnovers, all those things matter, man. And yeah, it was a great win. It's a great win. You got to, at this point in the season, with what's on the line, you got to chalk it up, especially on the road battle. This is a very, very physical football game on both sides. Very physical, and our guys are able to throw the last punch. So feels good. It feels good to be able to say
that. Like I said, it's huge because at the end of the day, you live to see another day. You know what I mean? Like your hopes of a college football playoff berth is still there. Your hopes of getting to Indianapolis is still there. Like all those things are still there and in front of you. And this was a big hurdle. Like I don't want to minimize it because Penn State was, I think, 6-3. Like I want to make sure that I don't minimize that because you and I have been very critical of Michigan, of what they have done. And let's keep it to this season, but just, like, hey, man, the big games haven't quite been there as far as, the ranked opponents and whatnot. So I'm going to continue to harp on the fact that this was a really big win. And at the end of the day, you get these things done. You know what I mean? Like you when you're playing a tough opponent and when you're playing on the road, it doesn't matter what it looks like. Like now, granted, when you look at another team like a Cincinnati, right, who's playing, and I don't even know who they played last night, but they were in a dogfight late in the 4th. That's very different, right? That's very different. That's a number 5 team, I think, or 5 or 6 team in the CFP playing a team with a losing record. So you should blow that team. That needs to be a absolute blowout. But when you're playing a ranked team on the road, you want to get out of there with a win, no matter how it looks. If it's ugly, if it looks good, it really doesn't matter. The goal is to get it done, and that's what Michigan did. Like, so I want to continue to harp on it because that's a big deal. That is a very big deal. And you and I talked about it. We spoke on the phone yesterday to where, we kind of talked about it. Just are things breaking to the point where it's kind of opening up another window for Michigan, right? Because we looked at it when it came to the Michigan State game. You lose that game. So it makes things difficult for you. But then Michigan State, literally the week after they play you, lose to Purdue. And now things are just literally wide open now to where, you possibly get that ability to, if you win out, you know what I mean? Like, who knows what happens? Who knows?
Yeah. Especially, Oklahoma going down to Baylor today. Those one of those sneaky teams that right now is still behind Michigan and CFP. But
that offensive genius, man. Oh man, it's
you and your Lincoln Riley hate, man. No, I mean, that also team that even though they were currently ranked behind Michigan, they could have been, if they would have won out, the committee could have. And Michigan, I say if Michigan, worst case scenario, would have stayed somehow. Wins out the rest of the season. They beat Ohio State. They beat Penn State, right? And Michigan State would have went to the Big Ten title game. Michigan would not have, even if they still won off themselves. But even if that case scenario played out, with Oklahoma going down today, that opens up another door for Michigan to still get into the CFP even if they aren't able to make the Big Ten title game. So it's just another avenue that helps Michigan. So
if I had to put a fork to your nose right now and say you got to call it, is Michigan State going to win out? Yes or no?
No. You can't fake that kind of. They're in their deficiencies on their defense, especially in their secondary. You can't fake that, especially this part in the season. And this team that's playing on ABC right now, who we hate in Ohio State, you will not keep them down with that kind of secondary, that kind of pass defense. You know, Ryan Day should eat the MSU defense alive. He should. Now, vice versa, Kareem Walker should go off against Ohio State because Ohio State has this season struggled with the running game. So it'll be an interesting matchup when those teams do meet. But I just don't see them beating Ohio State. Even though Ohio State's at MSU, I just don't see it. I don't see it.
So if you're saying Michigan State will not win out, then that means Michigan just needs to win out and they're going
the Big Ten title. Yep. Everything, like, that's why today was just huge. That's why, you know, all their goals are in front of them, and this thing is playing out where as long as Michigan takes care of their business, they should be in Indy. But that's a big. You got to also take care next week too. You know, don't do what Ohio State almost did a few years ago and sleep on Maryland, and you know, because you're excited about the big matchup versus Ohio State, and then you drop a game you shouldn't drop, right? So.
I think as far as focus, this might be the most important. Right. This might be the most important week for Michigan football.
Yeah.
Because if you in at the end of the day, the thing that I think about is the way you look today doesn't matter, right? The goal is to next week on Saturday look a little better than that, and then the next week Saturday look a little better than that. Like that's just a goal. Like you know what I mean? Like you don't play Ohio State today, you don't play Ohio State next week, and you know, and until you have to line up against them, like you don't have to be better than them until then.
Yep.
So you've got to focus and get to that point. I think, to me, this was such a telling game because number one, you get over that hurdle of just this team. I mean, let's take it back to last year. Granted, I know it was COVID and things were not normal, but Penn State was winless before they played Michigan. Right. And Penn State got the win. That was literally their first win of the season. Last year was against Michigan. Mm-hmm. So there's plenty of guys on this team that were there last year that had to live with that. Like an 0 whatever team. I think they might have been 0-2, 0-3, whatever.
They're 0-4.
0-4 team coming to play you and you lost. Like, so there's a lot of guys that are on that team that had to live with that. And then also with the coaching staff, mainly Jim Harbaugh, you had to live with that James Franklin brought a 0-4 team to the big house and won. Mm-hmm. Like, so, you know what I mean? Like, you've got that aspect of it too. And I think and maybe I'm crazy, but it could be a breakthrough when it comes to the Cade development, because I don't think it'd be understated to say that we haven't done a great job of developing Cade McNamara, you know, and in part with this JJ subbing and package and all that stuff. So, you know, maybe this is the breakthrough or the turning point of the offense to where it says, okay, listen, you know, we're not going to put all of this on Cade, but we know that when we go to him, like he can come through for us. Like, so I don't know. I have no idea. Like, right. We could be saying all this and then next week could potentially lose to Maryland and all this is out the window. But at the same time too, it could be the turning point. You know what I mean? Like, it's college football. Like, it's crazy. That's kind of how it happens.
Yeah. I mean, and you know, right now, and if you see my eyes peel away a little bit, it's because I have the Ohio State Purdue game. I mean, like, look, I mean, it would be insane for Purdue to be Ohio State again. In general, would be insane. But 3 wins, that would be against top touchdown Purdue. Wow, they just tied the game in the first quarter. Yeah.
Was it David Bell?
It wasn't David Bell, but he made the big play before.
That dude is, man.
He's insane. I mean, look, I know we're talking about Michigan, but this is one of those games where I don't think Ohio State's going to lose against Purdue. But They could. I mean, look, man, because if there's any team, I don't think there's any team in the country that's playing with more confidence than Purdue right now. No, I'm serious. Like, if you really think about it, like playing with the kind of with the season they have had, and the type of wins they've had, you can't tell those players nothing. That there's no one that they can't beat, and rightfully so. I mean, like, you can't think about how we look at it as fans of football and who Purdue is as a program. I'm talking about inside that locker room. You know, with the type of wins they've had this year, they feel like we can beat anyone. And so this is a huge game. I know Michigan fans are also watching this game as we speak. This is huge. But we have to take care of our business. And, next week, it has to be a business. It has to be all business. Get Maryland. When we play Maryland, no one playing around. No turnovers, and let's get ready for next week.
That game is a 3:30 kick, thank the Lord. So we are not going to have a midnight post game, which I definitely appreciate.
Yes.
So I'm excited. I'm very excited. So I'm going to jump into a couple questions. So here's one. It says, in all honesty, do we have a better chance of beating the Buckeyes this year? And I will dive into this first, and then you can hop in. My thought on this was, to me, I don't think the chance is any better today than it was when the season started. And here's why I say this. I think CJ Stroud, I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback by any stretch of the imagination, but what I am saying is he's not Justin Fields, he's not JT Barrett, he's not Braxton Miller. So he's not a guy that, to me, Ryan Day would feel comfortable putting the game on his shoulders and having him go out and win the game for Ohio State.
Right.
And for that reason, I think, yes, you've got a shot. Like, it, to me, this is the best shot you've had in probably the last 6 years, something like that. I mean, that would 16, be my thought 16, of it.
Yeah, 16, I would say.
That would be my thought. Dre, what's your thoughts on this question?
Yeah. The one thing I've said, and it all goes back to the quarterback, CJ Stroud. Like, I've said this since the Minnesota game, his first game, is that he's immensely talented. This is not a talent thing. No, but something about him, he doesn't strike me having the moxie and composure that the last few OSU quarterbacks have. Like, he seems a little bit shaky at times. He doesn't have the swagger and the confidence that a lot of OSU quarterbacks have. He may be just as talented or more talented in certain aspects, but like most OSU quarterbacks over the last few years have a certain swagger and confidence about them. And it's hard to rattle them. We've seen it as Michigan fans. We've gotten to their backups in game, and their backups will beat us, just like the Stars would. Shout out to Dwayne Haskins.
One thing that I look at, and maybe I overanalyze things, is the quarterback their eyes, because that's all. You know what I mean? When you're the quarterback, the camera's always on you. But when I look at JT and Justin, when they're looking to the sideline, it's just a normal they're looking. But when I saw Stroud, especially against Oregon, when he's looking at the sideline, he's got the big eyes, which makes me think that he is either nervous or concerned, or it's just not a I'm normal, I'm cool, everything's fine. It's
just not full. His confidence isn't full. It's just not there. You can just tell. I never feel like he makes decisions with conviction. I'm very confident with this decision. He just seems I feel like, honestly, Ryan Day's offensive genius and philosophy, and also leaning on really, really good, talented receivers, veteran receivers, mind you, and Olave and Wilson really helps him out. In key situations like 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, he's going to go into Olave or he's going to Wilson, right? Because they're going to be open. Then they're going to find a way to find a nice soft spot in a zone or man-to-man, find a way to beat their guy. And he's going to look for them. He's going to get them the ball, right? But I think just him as an individual quarterback, I don't think I think he has a ways to go. And I think if you're going to get him this year, he may come in next year fully, together. But
essentially Justin Fields 2.0.
Yes. But this year, you can, especially with this defensive line, and Des, I texted you this when I was frustrated during the game. It would have been a shame. It'll be a shame to waste a season in which you have 2 pass rushers and Ajabo, and Hutchinson, who are legitimate first-round picks. Not even legitimate. They will be first-round picks.
Yes,
right?
that's happening.
Even the good programs don't normally have 2 pass rushers that go in the first round every year. You know, like it not all the time. Like this is you have to take advantage. And if there's one thing I am confident in, is if the secondary is hold up a little bit and not get totally burnt off the line of scrimmage. That and Ohio State's offensive line has struggled at times. We can get in that backfield and we can rattle CJ. And one thing he's going to do, he will make mistakes.
That O-line is going to struggle with Michigan's D-line because they're just that good. Like on third downs, like they are that good. Like they're going to struggle with that unless you're talking about going 7-man protection. And I'm not sure Ryan Day's willing to do that, but we'll see. So I think a lot of that game is going to be, the schematics, like really make it scheming guys open, scheming protections, rolling, your quarterback out, things like that, that kind of play into the D linemen and things like that. Early on too, in this game, we're kind of talking about the D line and the pass rush. It was the fifth play of the game, and it was a 2nd and 22. Ojabo just got a sack. And Penn State had the ball, 2nd and 22, and I saw that Michigan, like, they pulled him out. Like, and granted, I get that, Corey had told me via Twitter, he's not an every down player, and I get that. But 2nd and 22, like, that is, in most cases, a passing down.
Absolutely.
Like, so I thought that was odd to not have him in there. Like, even if he's not an every down guy, great. Well, if you put him in and I don't know. I just thought that was weird as far as that.
Well, for one, I understand what you're saying because in 2nd and 22, the offense is looking for a chunk play to make it more manageable on third down. On the flip side, you're thinking like, okay, well, if I can get him any kind of spell, this would be a good opportunity to do it.
Because the 5th play of the game, Dre.
No, I understand. I'm just.
You know what I mean? Like I understand what you're saying. But that'd be more so if we're talking, early fourth quarter. Like, let me get him a blow.
Yeah.
Son, it's the 5th play of the game. You shouldn't need a spell at all.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, go get him. You just got 1 sack. Go get another one. Like that. There's no better time for a D lineman to get his 2nd sack than the play after getting his 1st sack. That's literally the best time to go get it.
Yeah, and confidence is high. The confidence,
right? He's going crazy, going nuts. Like I would have liked to see him stay, but is what it is.
Those two are playing just lights off football,
dude. It's unreal, man.
I mean, like, and you just have no chance because like if you chip one, the other one's coming. Like they're both playing. I mean, you don't see 2 pass rushers on the defense both playing in a high clip like this very often. Yeah. I mean, it's an absolute terror. You got
2 NFL defensive linemen on your team right now. Yeah, that's what you have.
First round, like guys who, I mean, like the way they're both have really good technique, physically gifted, and high motors. Mm-hmm. They both have the makeup to be 10 sack players also on the next level, which is why they're going to be drafted in the first round. You draft defensive ends in the first round to be at least 10 sack guys, right? And they both have that potential. They're fantastic. They're fantastic. Mm-hmm. And it's not just they're getting to the quarterback; they're also creating turnovers. Strip sacks.
That is the key. It's one thing to sack a guy on 3rd and 10.
Get turnovers.
It's another thing to strip sack and get the ball back for your offense. That. It's a game changer,
especially for an offense, mind you, that just isn't very explosive. They're just not. So, like that's why those plays are huge. And yeah, man, you just got to give a ton of credit to that they're playing really well right now. You take care of Maryland. I don't care how Ohio State looks right now. You present a legitimate issue for them. Now, if there were areas of caution, right? Today we talked about it, and Penn State earlier was able to do it, and also later. The best way to move the ball and be effective against this Michigan defense is to go up tempo and to keep them on their heels. And you saw it played out exactly how we said. And you saw when you're not able to go up tempo and keep them on their heels, they are going to eat you alive. They're going to eat you alive. They're going to be blitzing you. Their defensive line is going to get in the backfield, and they're going to make. I mean, poor Sean Clifford, man, he was beat up today, dude. I was surprised he can rip the ball that last drive they had. Like he was, I mean, it's almost like every play he was picking himself off the ground. I mean, he took a beating today, right? And so it's one of those things where like Ohio State and we'll see what Maryland can do it too, but Ohio State will have that. They will be doing that. You know, Ryan Day will be coming into Michigan Stadium, and he's like, you know what? Yeah, we're not going to get him a chance to get to CJ, and they're going to go up tempo, and it's going to be a matter of Michigan can, you know, figure out a way to combat that. But you know, the word is out. If you're going to score in the Michigan defense, how you need to do it.
So Maryland is 5-4. They're about to play Michigan State. Let's play a game. Okay. Halloween just happened. So what if Maryland beats Michigan State? Like, is there any
got the Christmas tree lights up and Christmas music is playing? I sound like a hater. I actually like the stuff a little bit too, but I'm just saying, like, it's funny at the Halloween, like November 1st. It's like, oh, it's Christmas, huh? We ain't even cut the bird yet. Anyway,
that's true.
Yes, but what was your question?
Would that change your perception at all of the game next week if Maryland beats Michigan State?
Of course it would. Of course it would. This time of the year, this is where every team should be playing at their best, right? This is who you are this late in the season. So you see it, dude. You see it every weekend. Look what happened to Oklahoma today. Granted, Baylor's 13 is no pushover. They were 7-2, ranked 13th in the country, but still, like,
the offensive genius lost the way he did. Like,
right.
Like he's just,
oh, you little troll.
Yeah, he's the best play caller in college football, but could only muster what was the score to that final game?
27-13, was it?
Golly, man. He offensive genius, 13 points.
The real question is, where's Spencer Rattler going next season? There's gonna be two.
He's probably gonna be starting quarterback at I don't know, Oklahoma.
There's gonna be two big quarterbacks on the market because McCarthy and Cade at the rate this is going, man. Somebody's leaving. Somebody in the transfer.
I'll put it this way: Cade is leaving. But we'll get to that in the offseason.
I'm just saying, like, it's just like it's bittersweet watching. Like, and I love it, but it's bittersweet watching this because it's like, man, you know, like something about to give. The better this thing goes, because that was the flip side, like the better, which is quarterback situation. The better this thing goes, like someone's leaving. So it's just if it's whoever it is, just not in the Big Ten, please. But we'll talk about it in the offseason. Just please do not.
We'll talk about that in the offseason.
Yeah. You know,
George McLaughlin says that he wants an apology from both of us and Steve Dace. I'm not quite sure what he means by from us.
Thank you, George. I love dealing with fans like you. I love it.
Well, I even put in the chat. I'm like, George, I'm not quite sure why you want an apology from us.
Let me do it for George. Let me go ahead. Let me speak for George. I know exactly where he's getting at. Oh, you guys are negative. You're saying Michigan was going to lose. You're all talking about what? Why are we not justified in doing that? You think you're a bit, and I'm sorry, George. You could be I'm sure you're a very nice fellow, but I don't understand my fellow Michigan fans that are like you. And I think I have a good idea how you're thinking. Like, you think just because you like to see the positives all the time that you're somehow a better fan than we are, that you're more committed than we are because we try to look at everything and we want more, and when we see signs of repeated failures of this program that we pointed out, and then up to moments like today, the few times and moments like today, we're going to this game. Harbaugh is 2-9 versus ranked teams on the road, 16-14 in November during this time in Michigan. You want to get mad at us because we don't point that stuff out, or that it gives us like some kind of pause, right? Like, I don't understand that. I'm not apologizing for anything because up to days like today, Michigan never comes through, and they hurt our hearts as fans. And I never understand that. You can love your program. I do. You do. We all do. But you don't have to drink their bathwater and give them the benefit of the doubt just to do it. Let them prove that. Let them prove that. And you know what, today? I'm glad and I am proud of what they did today. But I'm not going to apologize for the feelings I had beforehand because they deserved it. It's their own doing. So no, Steve has nothing to apologize for. He's right to be pessimistic.
Well, Steve predicted a Michigan loss. I think that's what George is
I was
getting
close
at.
to doing that as well.
But you didn't.
Yeah, but if I remind you, I will remind you that
preseason, yes. I think we both predicted a loss for this game.
I don't understand that. It's like, no, but I understand why Steve did it. I mean, if you remember, like I can't replay. Well, you can go back and watch the Wednesday show. But like I was like closest, like like you know how I'm feeling, right, Des? I said that, right? You know where I'm leaning towards. But I was like, you know what the hell with it? Michigan wins. Right? I want to say loss too, because I understand the recent history of what this program has done, especially in the hardball in situations like this.
Yeah.
Like it is what it is. I'm not going to be some, Kool-Aid drinking, slappy. I love this program, but I let them prove me wrong. I'm not going to just say you guys are great. I believe in you. You'll do it one day. No. You got to show me. You got to show me. So we don't have nothing to apologize for. We're all on the same boat. We're all happy today, right?
And
that's it.
And like I said, maybe Steve does because he predicted a loss, but we predicted a win.
For what? What?
Well,
can you blame him?
Right.
Can you blame him?
A game is different than
But can you blame him for saying Michigan was going to lose?
No.
Then what he has to apologize for?
But you were still wrong.
So now we apologizing for being wrong?
I mean, if you're George, yeah. You need, in George's world, yes, you need to apologize when you're wrong.
No, I'm not. I refuse because I would say George would be right if the stats and the moments did not support that feeling by myself or Steve or you at times. Is that if Michigan was coming through in these type of situations and then we were just saying no, I don't think it's going to happen. Then you should apologize because you're like, well, what are you talking about? Where are you pulling this negative or whatever you want to say, opinion from? But it was purely based in historical fact.
True.
So it is what it is. Like I enjoy, and I'm sure Steve does. Like I get caught up in games like anybody else does. I believe Maize and Blue, but I also I'm tired of getting my heart stumped off by this team, and I'm tired of seeing our peers do things that we haven't been able to do. And we're not just talking about Ohio State. We're talking about that team that we beat today in Penn State. We're talking about that team that in East Lansing, who we like to call little brother, but has won 10 out of the last 14, but has won multiple Big Ten titles. So I don't make an excuse. I love my team, but I ask for more, and I expect more out of them. So that's just it. Doesn't make me a better fan than you. It just means I look at my team differently. I have high expectations.
So while we are here, we have 130 people in the group right now in the live chat. I'm going to ask every single one of you guys to hit the thumbs up for the video right now because we want to spread this channel. We want to spread the word, spread the message. And we also want to beat Ohio State when it comes to the channels that are under Mark's, the voice of college football. So please give us a thumbs up. Please give us a like. We definitely appreciate it. Dre, it's interesting because we have been here before when we started looking past, certain teams and looking at what could potentially happen for this season. And I don't know what the Michigan, Maryland line is right now, whatever, but let's say for sake of discussion, Michigan wins that game and we are strolling towards 2 days after Thanksgiving with everything on the line. Like here's a better scenario. Sorry, that was a kind of a bad one. Let's say Michigan beats Maryland, and then they also beat Ohio State. I mean, with the potential to get into the college football playoff, like what does that look like? Like it's
I don't know. I haven't experienced that before, but I think it's possible. You just painted a scenario that I've never experienced before.
No Michigan fan has. They've yet to be
like?
in.
I mean, like, dude, I mean, it will. I think it's going to feel foreign. You know, I think if I was to guess how we're going to feel as Michigan fans, if they're able to finish this thing through and beat Maryland and beat Ohio State somehow, that going to that Big Ten title game, that whole week leading up, it's going to feel like, which it will be, foreign territory. And I'm not sure how I'm going to feel, you know, because now I'll put it out. I'll just say it now. If Michigan lost the Big Ten, let's say they made it to the Big Ten title game. Well, say like they make it to the Big Ten title game. I'm going to be happy, but it gets to the point where it's like, okay. And people will say, well, don't move the goalposts. It's like, okay, hold on a second. We're here at the Big Ten title game. No one in the Big Ten West can as good as we are. No one. So once we get there, I'm expecting us to finish this through and get to the CFP. So it'll be a mixture of extreme appreciation and happiness, but also a sense of hunger, like we have a real chance to get to the college football playoff here. And no one in the Big Ten West is as good as we are. No one. We've already beat Wisconsin. I understand they're playing better football now, but we're a better football team than they are, right? We're a better football team than Iowa.
You beat the man.
We're a better football team than Purdue. You know, we're better than anybody in the Big Ten West right now. Better team than Minnesota. Better than all those teams. So if we get to the Big Ten, so that week leading up, it's going to be a mixture of extreme appreciation and happiness, but also like that hunger, like, man, let's get this done. No excuses. Let's get this done. I think other fans will feel the same. And of course, you have fans like, man, this can't be, better. This is uncharted territory. I'm just happy to be here, and I understand that. But also, if you're a fan and you realize the rarity, I saw for Ohio State, the rarity of being into the Big Ten title game, especially coming out the East, where it's an absolute juggernaut. The rarity of being in the Big Ten title game and a chance to get to the CFP. I think you couldn't help yourself but like, okay, I just can't. I'll be disappointed if we don't get this done, right? We're so close. We're in this window. We got to break through.
That'll be, I mean, like I said, everything is still ahead of you. You beat Maryland. You beat Ohio State. I think Michigan's getting in. I think they will. Cincinnati struggled. If you just looked at the box score and you saw 45-28, you'd say, oh, man, this is a blowout. It was not that. Cincinnati struggled with and I got to look to see who they even played. But it was a struggle for them. It was an absolute struggle. South Florida, who was 2-7.
No, Cincinnati won't get in. I mean, like I said, unless some
I thought they would before that.
I know you did.
I thought they would start to at least throttle some of these bad teams, but you're not beating anybody badly. Like, right. And it just, the game control is going to be a killer for Cincinnati. That they're not gonna get to where they want to be.
And if you're a Cincinnati fan, man, you can over undefeated, but it's like
you're probably upset. You're probably upset. Like, why are we not running the score up on these teams?
I understand, but it's like the committee's job is to pick the best possible team, the best teams in the country, best 4 teams in the country. And part of deciding that is not only how you perform, but who you played and what happened in those games and then who they played. And, it all goes into it. And within that formula, Cincinnati doesn't have the right ingredients, right? They just, in that recipe, they don't have the right ingredients to say, man, this is a college football playoff team. Right. It's that's the unfortunate thing. And it's not those players' fault. They're doing their job. But it's just, right. It's just how it works out sometimes. And that's just the negative part of being, not being a power program, if you will. It just comes with the territory.
Yeah, we had so before Michigan played Nebraska, like, we had our post game that week before, and we were like, yeah, this is going to be a cakewalk. They'll be just fine. I think Michigan has a very serious opponent next week. I don't think Maryland is the Maryland of old. I don't think this is Rutgers of old, of essentially a team you just roll out of bed and you're going to beat them by 30. Like, they have – a head coach / offensive coordinator who likes to score a lot of points. They're dangerous. They are dangerous. So on one token, when I, say that, hey, we're looking towards kind of the Ohio State game, Maryland is not for play. They are absolutely not for play. And if the tough part is going to be if, Aiden and Ajabo don't get home, having your guys on the back end trying to hold up, because as well as the defense played today as a whole, I don't think our defensive backs played well overall today.
I thought they were solid. Yes, I mean, they definitely got, Jahan Dotson definitely, ripped them to shreds. And it was, it's unfortunate he got banged up, but I was not displeased at all to see him get off the field on that fourth down. I mean, like, 'cause you knew the ball was going to him. But, I thought, they definitely had bright spots. I thought DJ Turner at times did a decent job. I thought Gray did a decent job as well. So I won't say they were bad today, but I think they were okay. They were okay.
Would you say they leave something to be desired?
Leave something to be desired. I thought they're at times, and maybe it was just fear of being burnt by Dotson, that we were playing a little bit, our corners play a little bit too soft on him. And that can happen when guys are afraid to get beat off the line of scrimmage. They got a little bit too soft of coverage. I mean, how many times did he have cushion? He found the little area, got open and made some plays. And but I thought the corners were okay today. They were okay. But look, we all know this is leading towards Ohio State. They had to win that game. They're going to have to be good. They have to be great because they're not great corners, but they got to be solid. They're going to have to make some plays. We're not going to get home all the time. And at the end of the day, it's going to come down to that. When that ball's in the air, you're going to have to be disciplined because you're playing against Ohio State. You can't get burnt, and you just gotta wrap up, and it's going to be, we're not going to keep Ohio State out the end zone, right? So it's just about playing sound football, trying to force mistakes when we can. And, it's going to be one of those games where Michigan when we play Ohio State, it's going to be a very thin margin of error. It just is what it is. And part of that, I say, is due just to the way our offense works, where our offense is not built to score with Ohio State, but it doesn't mean that we can't win the game, but we have to do certain things to keep the game in our favor, such as controlling TOP. We got to keep the Ohio State offense off the field as much as possible. Those type of things. And I feel very dirty for talking so much about the Ohio State game because we got Maryland coming up. But I'm just saying, I'm trying to give the examples of how Michigan could finish this thing out. But it won't be playing towards Ohio State game. It'll be Michigan making Ohio State play to their game. But it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think Michigan has the formula. The big key is going to be third downs. Like, you've got to be able to, whether you're ahead or behind the sticks, like, you've got to be able to convert third downs and extend those drives. Because, I mean, the thing is if you played a potent offense today, this game would have been over in the first quarter. Like, and we spent the first 48 minutes like singing Michigan's praises, but you had 24 plays versus 3. Like, you went 3 and out, and that was the only possession that you had. Like, if that is a high flying offense or even a competent offense, for whatever reason, Penn State didn't really get it together as far as offensively until later on in the game. But I mean, if you're, I'll say it this way: I wouldn't want to give Maryland's offense that many cracks at scoring on us early on in the first quarter. Like, you can't do stuff like that. Like in the Ohio State game. Granted, even against Maryland, like, even bad teams, when you give them enough shots, like, yeah, they'll get it done.
What happened today?
Right.
That
so
game shouldn't have been.
You can't do stuff like that. Like, you've got to be effective on third down, which it took Michigan some time to kind of get going. But the tough part is it's a balancing act, right? It's like, well, if you don't convert on third down as an offense, you've got to punt it away. Like, but you also are failing to catch a rhythm as an offense because you didn't convert that third down. So it's just like it's a crazy cycle that just happens and it doesn't stop. Right. Because if you're continuously going 3 and out, like, you're not getting a rhythm. You know what I mean? And you're putting your defense back on the field again. And it just, you make things tough for yourself when you do that.
Yeah. Let me see something. You're going to get Areola. You're going to get false starts on the road. Jesse, that's not an excuse. False starts is all about discipline. The count. The offense You know the count. There's not an excuse for false start. That's a discipline. It's not a physical mistake. That is a mental mistake. And mental mistakes are inexcusable. You can deal with physical mistakes. Sometimes you get burnt to a guy's faster than you, but mental mistakes, And I'm trying to pick on you, but I don't ever agree with narrative like that. Don't build a team out by doing that. Self-inflicted mistakes, false starts, face masks, PIs, stuff like that. When it's self-inflicted mistakes, those should be called out. You can't give teams, bailouts like that. And I agree, Cameron. If the game today was a night game, Penn State might have won. I mean, because it's not because Penn State's a better football team. Michigan's a better football team. But today, that conservative play calling, that lack of being able to put your foot on the neck, it normally would get us beat. And today we escaped, and we're going to appreciate that. And we do, and we're going to appreciate that, but it will be slappies and not looking at the real game to not call it out. They escaped today, and they almost cost themselves a game. They almost cost themselves a game and dropped one they shouldn't have dropped because they were the better football team today.
It'll be an interesting week. Like I said, I mean, Hassan Haskins had 31 carries. I think last week he had 27. So it's he's having a heck of a workload these last 2 weeks.
Man,
ideally, you'd like to think that he'd have a lesser workload next week, because if you get in Ohio State and you need Hassan Haskins to have 45 carries to win the game, I don't care. Great, give him 45 carries, give him 50. I don't care. Like you've got to get that done. But in the game, especially to me, especially last week, that was the one that was glaring, because this week you needed it. And next week you may need it, who knows, and the week after that. But last week was the week that you didn't need to have Hassan have 27 carries last week. I didn't think that was necessary, but just kind of is what it is. You just roll on and keep going. And I was trying to look at the amount of snaps that the defense played today. So you had 43, 63. Defense played a lot of snaps today. They played a lot of snaps.
They did, and you look, man. At this point, Hassan, I think he likes it. I think he's one of those. I think most running backs want the ball.
That's fine. Right? Yeah, that's fine. But there's data to show that's not a great thing for 5-6 weeks in a row.
The issue, and I think Rico made a good point here, is that you do see, especially the way this offense runs, that if they are behind schedule and the defense crashes on 1st and 10, crashes down, and they limit us to no yardage or a yard, and we're at 2nd and 9, the whole drive gets off to a very, very rocky start. K is a lot.
Let's just put in JJ. He can do everything.
All right,
he can fix everything.
Man, KW3 is a beast, man. Like, God. He is running these guys over.
Who is KW3?
Kenneth Walker III.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that's what they called him. I thought it was K9.
Well, K is K and K9 too. K9.
Oh, okay.
Which is an awesome nickname, by the way. For a running back, it's an awesome nickname. But no, I mean, like it's just, I don't know, man. It was tight today. Tighter than it needed to be.
Yeah, it's like Antoine says here, I don't want them to burn out Haskins before Ohio. I would agree. I'd like to think that,
but you gotta get to Ohio first, Antoine. That's the problem. I'm with you.
But you were well on your way to Ohio last week at halftime in third quarter.
Oh no, I agree with that.
Oh yeah, we can.
No, that's different. Now, if the game is in hand, and we're still running him down like a pencil, that's different. But if we somehow need to, goodness, we need to. How is it that a defense knows that Jalen Reed's getting the ball and somehow he still always gets the ball? Anyway, no, but it's if they need him to run down this Maryland defense, which is based on what I'm seeing, they shouldn't. This Maryland defense is not very good at all. Then yeah, do what you gotta do.
Man, it. So with this win today, do you think that Michigan moves up at all potentially in the college football playoff. Just knowing what we know as of 4:30 Eastern Standard Time. Cincinnati won, who is ahead of Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
But they played a team with a losing record, essentially 2-7. I think Tulsa. South Florida.
South Florida.
Yep. Wasn't really in control of that game late. Ends up scoring a couple touchdowns, I think, in the fourth quarter. Could you potentially see any change there?
You could. I mean, this win Michigan just had with Penn State is a much better win than Cincinnati, of course, had. I think with Cincinnati's 5, so you're talking about swapping 5 for 6.
Yep,
I can see that because at this point the committee is already setting up, and it's no secret they're setting up Michigan to, as long as they handle their business, to get into the college football playoff. They're setting that up. Honestly,
I thought Cincinnati was a lock to get in. They are not a lock to get in.
Honestly, it's
very wrong.
What I think Michigan and Michigan State, if they take care of business today, should both jump Cincinnati, and Cincinnati should go to 7.
Woo!
Honestly,
it's tough. Okay,
I know it's tough because the problem is Cincinnati's undefeated, and so the committee will come off as a-holes if they just like, okay, this team's undefeated, but we dropped them 2 spots, so it probably won't happen. But I mean, it should happen. Michigan and Michigan State should be 5 and 6 right now. They should be 5 and 6. Now I will say this: if I was to put a team on upset alert, watch out for Oregon tonight at Washington State.
You think so? They just fired their head coach.
I understand. Just saying.
So is it more so there's concern with Washington? You just think Oregon's not that good? Like what's?
I just don't value Pac-12 football. To be quite honest, like I
think both of them suck, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't value Pac-12 football for the most part. And it was a very impressive win they had over Ohio State this year. But
true.
I don't value Pac-12 football. I don't care.
So no real data behind that. It's just
that's just pure like biased. Pure bias.
Notre Dame on upset alert. They are at Virginia Cavaliers at 7:30. They got one of the night games. Yep. It's interesting. Before we wrap, I wanted to show some love to the man, the myth, the legend, Mark Rogers. So it's very interesting. So we hopped on the channel, like we started contributing, if you will, in August. And at that time, this channel had like 1,600 followers, something like that. But Mark's channel, his channel overall had, well over 20,000 subscribers. I think he's up to almost 31,000 now. But it's when you look at someone like building and attempting to build an empire, like this is what it looks like. Like it's someone who puts that work in, like lays the foundation, because we've got the Michigan channel, we've got the Iowa channel, we've got Ohio State, Clemson, like the Big Ten channel, the SEC, like so. There's a ton of channels that Mark has laid the foundation with, and kind of got those things rolling, and then he brings in a couple bozos like us to talk Michigan football. Like it's just it's impressive. You know what I mean? It's impressive, and I definitely wanted to give Mark his flowers, his just due, because we're coming through the stretch of college football, but no, it was one of those things where I was thinking about it today, and I was just like, man, we gotta kind of give some kudos to Mark, because when you look at his channel and just all he's done, man, it's pretty incredible to see just what he's built as just one person, like just kind of hammering stuff out. Like it's pretty awesome to do that, because you and I know how hard it is to just do a podcast, like just one podcast, just us, like that's it. Like, so we understand what it takes to, coordinating schedules of, 2 adults. Like we've got, families and lives and things like that go on, and life happens. That's one of my
Can we have the celebratory speech after Michigan makes the Big Ten title game?
No, because at that point it's going to be this might be a mess as far as us. Because if Michigan makes the Big Ten, this all is going to be a mess. This is going to be just a straight happy hour
This is it feels like a pre,
everybody bring your libations.
It feels like a it feels like
it's gonna be off the rails
moment. And I'm like, no,
yeah,
not yet.
It's gonna be off the rails. I'm not, it's
getting out the way now. Let's get out the way now.
Yeah. So let's get it out of the way now where we're all, in our right minds. But yeah, if Michigan makes the CFP, we're gonna hop on that Sunday when it happens, the reveal, and it's gonna be wild. It's gonna be wild. It'd be awesome to see like all of our subscribers to this channel hop on. Like that would be crazy. I don't think it'll happen because, like I said, life happens. But no, that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, no, it's not gonna. No, if Michigan makes a CFP, there won't be time and mental capacity to kind of give Marcus flowers at that point. So yeah, no, that won't happen.
Yeah, I'm just messing with you. It's all fun, This is what you want, man. Down the stretch of the season with everything in front of you, and this is fun, but it's nerve-wracking as hell, and it's scary because of what can happen. But to the people who, because look, guys, don't get mistaken. Michigan takes care of business against Maryland. Fans like Steve Dace, like myself, or any others, it's going to be tough to go into that Ohio State game like, we're going to beat them. It's going to be natural for if any of you have like your concerns about playing OSU, because look at the last 15 years, it's understandable. So, but
we'll have a surprise for the people at that point.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna give it up, but yeah, we'll have a surprise for the people at that point. So.
That's good. No, but this is fun, guys. I thank you so much for your commitment to our channel. We try to do the best we can to shoot you straight. And if you can't tell, this is not. We try not to be one way or the other. It may come off as me being negative or Destin being negative, but it's all based on what we are seeing historically and how I can possibly tie into similar situations going on in the current moment. And days like today is now creating new history where maybe you can have a little bit more optimism going into those similar games in the future, because you're like, oh, well, now they have done it in this case scenario, right? But that's why you always put the onus on the team. Bo Schembechler.
I was just gonna say, Bo would love to hear that.
To overwrite and to get that monkey off the bat and to change narratives. Not fans. Fans don't change narratives. It's up to the teams to change narratives in their results. So that's all I got to say.
Sounds good, man. We can wrap with that. Just want to thank everybody for joining us. We got 126 on the line right now. Guys, I can't tell you how much we definitely appreciate you guys joining us and being here with us, hanging with us. You could be doing a lot of other things, and maybe some of you are doing some multitasking. So we definitely appreciate it. Thank you so much. Like and subscribe, share the channel out. We definitely appreciate it. Like I said, we can't thank you guys enough for being here with us. So we definitely appreciate it. And I think that is it for us, Dre.
See you guys.
Peace.